How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to another video of Limbus Company. I'm DemoonicWolf, and today we are about to dive headfirst into the short story of risk levels and classifications. But before we get started, I just want to say thank you to every single one of you. You guys are magnificent people and absolute alphas. Thank you for the comments, the likes, and the views. You guys are awesome, and subbing to the channel. I really do appreciate it, guys. And with that, sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let's get started. I guess the traffic sucks no matter which nest you go to. We've been traveling at a snail's pace through the extreme congestion of the nest for several days now. Raja, clearly affected by this boredom, sighed and muttered. We've been through similar long periods of inactivity before, but boredom isn't something one could easily get used to. I suppose it became part of my job to listen to the sinners complain about the slow pace of our travel. How much longer until the T-Corp immigration checkpoint? My only option is to give them a reminder of how far we are from our destination. Considering that we will be on standby for approximately a day at our next stop, and taking into account various other stops we will be making en route, our estimated time of arrival is in 3 days. It's not like we're traveling very far, but with this awful traffic, it feels way further than it really is. Gregor's right. It didn't seem like the city was that big. Maybe there's something to these inevitable overly long travel times, something I'm yet to understand. I guess driving around in a large bus through the narrow back streets is what's taking us such a long time. I believe it would have been faster to march on foot. Yet, what about room and board? Are you unaware that camping out in the open is a natural part of any long march? God damn it, Otis, I love you. Hey, Officer Otis, not everyone's been a soldier here. You're right, Gregor. It's only you and her. And then, well, so Ishmael is a sailor, so I guess she's not like naval. And if we're unlucky, we might run into those terrifying sweepers before the break of dawn. Even a partial mention of their name drains all color from Sinclair's face. I remember that the sinners once told me about them. That, before the break of dawn, there are these things called sweepers that sweep up every trash in the back streets. It's kinda terrifying how broad their definition of trash can be. They call that hour the night in the back streets, or something like that. This bus is one of the few vehicles recognized by the city as a residential vehicle, which means that we remain safe from the hands of the sweepers. Wait, what? Okay, that makes more sense. You know, I didn't really even think about it though, that we've been sleeping in this bus, but the sweepers have never boarded the bus. We've had people try to break into the bus. So if you are just a normal person in the city and you sleep in your car, you are fucked, buddy. You are going to die. That is crazy. Attempting to sleep outside the bus in the back streets would not permit a restful sleep. Instead, one would be forced to survive the onslaught of sweepers for an hour in the early hours of dawn. Makes sense. Those sweepers do steer clear from the residential areas after all. A slow yet safe travel by vehicle, or a fast yet high-risk march on foot. This is quite the strategic dilemma. I do not believe that the latter option is up for consideration of any fellow. The bus is once again consumed by commotion. And into that commotion barged in the creak of an opening door and a familiar sigh. I understand that you all must be quite impatient, but we are precisely on schedule, so save your breaths and stop complaining. By the looks on your faces, I would have been worrying about a mutiny if I didn't know better. Those papers in your hand, new orders from the higher-ups? Virgilius was holding what appeared to be a bundle of freshly printed paper. This wasn't the first time something like this happened. Sometimes after communicating in his room with the higher-ups of the company, he'd bring out a few sheets of paper to bring us up to speed. Yes, a new update. Don't tell me we're going on another detour. I'll say that I'm quite done cleaning up those distorted messes. Look, we gotta get to... Stop whining like a petulant child. There won't be any more detours until we reach our current destination. Virgilius frowned his brows, walked up to the front of the bus, and leaned against one of the first row chairs. He began leisurely shuffling through the documents. This is just an announcement. It says here that there will be changes to how your records of abnormalities, distortions, and peccatula are categorized. Huh? Wait, so we gotta do a bunch of paperwork? No. Once completed, your observation logs are all digitalized and shared with the upper echelons of the company. Of course, if the observation logs themselves need to be edited, there will be orders to make direct adjustments by hand. However, the categorization for each entity will be updated automatically. They are merely informing the centers of the upcoming changes. It's nice to have someone else do the explaining for once. She is right. I presume this has aught to do with the new types of peccatula that we have encountered before. Yes, but that isn't all. Virgilius closed his eyes wearily and lightly folded the papers in his hands. He called out to the two sinners. Yi Sang, Ishmael. He was pointing at Ishmael and Yi Sang. Yeah? You have called upon my name? I'll leave it to you two model students to explain the contents of these documents. I don't feel like I'm up to the task of explaining what's on this paper to all of you. With that, Virgilius pretty much shoved the paper in Ishmael's hands before taking a seat in the front row of the bus. What an ass! Did he just dump his responsibility onto us? Yes, he did. Ishmael didn't seem too happy about this sudden turn of events. Still, she opened the documents and began reading. I can never tell if he actually doesn't care about us or if he just naturally comes off as a cold person. So what does the thing say, Ishi? Give me a sec, so... Does it say anything new about the abnormalities? Looks like these documents are from the LCD. The sender address says... Oh! LCD is the department that contacted Manager Esquire, is it not? Ezra, was it? I still vividly remember her chaotic, bubbly voice coming through the radio. The former L-Corp... Bah! The bus begins to fill with the familiar hectic buzz once again. Well, if you would allow me to... Miss Ishmael? Why do you look like that, Ishmael? What's going on? Yi Sang chimed in to help with Ishmael's explanations of the documents, but... This is exactly why I'm the only one who ever reads the guides. I can see veins starting to pop in Ishmael's fingers. At this rate, she's going to drop the documents in favor of her mace. Uh-oh. Wait, Ishmael! I got this! Calm down! I hurried over to Ishmael and practically hung onto the documents in her hands. We nearly tore the bundle of documents in half, but she quickly gave up and loosened her grip. Rushu, Otis, please keep Don Quixote and Heathcliff quiet while I take care of this. Oh yes, this'll be fun. Without killing them or beating them up, please. Bah! I love this. Rushu slowly lowered Don Quixote's lance. She'd pick it up. No, I know exactly what she was gonna do. She was going to shove Don Quixote's lance in her face like Don did to her. God damn it. Alright then, if you have any questions while Ishmael reads from the document, raise your hands to be recognized. Yiseng, Faust, you guys don't need to raise your hands to speak, so please chime in if there are any details you can elaborate on. Understood. Very well. Raja, if anyone tries to speak out of turn, please smack them lightly in the head. If you do good, I'll make sure to order you extra desserts during our team dinner. Yes, we must bribe her. You know how to motivate people, Dante. What? What an impressive growth of leadership capabilities, Executive Manager. We get more affection! Alrighty then. First bonk goes to... Wait! Wait, this wasn't... Otis. Raja's taking her job seriously. A few minutes later. After a quick commotion, I found the situation settled enough to return the documents to Ishmael's hands. Then, I'll leave it to you. So, the former L Corp, also known as the Lobotomy Corporation, used to contain and manage the abnormalities that we've faced in their branches. Even taking into account that their strengths were suppressed by the Golden Bows, there was a pretty significant difference between their risk level categorizations and the actual risk involved in facing them. Other employees and the higher-ups of Limbus Company also apparently felt that something was familiar yet off, and that's why they investigated the issue through the LCD department. So far, there have been 5 categories of risk levels. 5? Aren't there only 4 of them? Raja punched Heathcliff in the crown of his face. Raja punched Heathcliff in the crown of his head, and he promptly slumped to the ground, out cold. Maybe it was the suddenness of the attack that did it. You didn't kill him, did you? Nah, he'll be fine. It's Heath. It's not like I smacked him that hard. I love this. I love it. Sinclair quietly raised his hand. He's like, not today, Raja. All right, you can go ahead. Ishmael nodded at Sinclair. Well, I thought there were only 4 risk levels. Zayn, Teth, He, and Wah, just like Heathcliff said. They're the only ones we've seen so far, yeah. But according to these documents, the highest risk level category is labeled Olive. Like I said earlier, there's a pretty significant disparity between their categorization standards and our experience with them in the field. Which is why they're apparently planning to make overhauls of these standards by Limbus Company standards. Don't speak out, Marisol. Raise your hand. Go ahead, Marisol. I must inquire what exactly this overhaul entails. Does this mean that the abnormalities will be recategorized within the pre-existing framework of categorization? Or will additional risk level categories be created? It doesn't elaborate that far, but it does say here that Lobotomy Corporation uses each abnormality's enkephalin production capabilities to categorize them into different risk levels. Abnormalities with more complicated, difficult management conditions apparently produce more enkephalin. I guess the more complicated an abnormality is, the harder they are to fight. That does line up with our own experiences, sort of. But it can hardly be said that it was flawless. Looks like to me that they're trying to make these risk levels better reflect their own field experiences, which doesn't rule out the possibility of them adding more tiers to the pre-existing ones. for we must conduct not management, but combat against these foes. It is sensible that the standards of risk levels be adjusted to the accordance to home. Roger, wait! Yi Sang could speak without raising his hand. Oh, right. My bad. She almost beat the shit out of him. Oh my god. I managed to stop Raja just before her fist connected with Yi Sang's crown. It was almost as if she was moving based on pure instinct. So, that's why they're overhauling the risk levels based on the actual risk each abnormality poses in battle. So we do well to be wary of the possible changes of the risk levels written in the observation logs. Oh, and they'll let us know again once the precise details are decided. The next section is about distortions, which... Uh-oh. Don Quixote raised her hand. Yes! But Ishmael continued to explain without without coming to a stop. She probably just ignored her. God damn it. So far, we've been using the same subject classification code as abnormalities for distortions, but it's gotten pretty clear that there's a big difference between them. Enough to give these two groups distinct classification codes. The difference being... Hong Lu raised his hand and Ishmael nodded. Don Quixote appeared a bit crestfallen. Aww. The difference is that, when defeated, abnormalities turn into their egg-like forms, but distortions don't. Am I right? Correct. Distortions can be completely subdued simply by defeating them in battle, but any method of fully slaying an abnormality is yet to be discovered, even in theory. So she says, well, we've all had first-hand experience against them, so it shouldn't be too hard to understand. Whew. Here comes the last subject. This one's about the Pecatula. They're going to give them a classification code scheme different from the abnormalities as well, including a new type of Pecatula we recently encountered. Let's see, classification basis, abnormality and distortions, both have elements of Abnormalities and distortions both have elements of uniqueness that is missing of each individual Pecatula. Considering this, it has been deemed... Okay, I don't really get what this is talking about. Boss walked up next to Ishmael and began to explain. Uniqueness. In this context, refers to the fact that no same entity exhibits the same location. It would be helpful to recall that our encounters with the Pecatula have always been against multiple duplicates of the same category of Pecatulum. However, no same encounters have been made against distortions and abnormalities. Hopefully, this has been a sufficient explanation for all. Right, so simply put, we can just toss the Pecatula all in the same bin, but each and every one of the abnormalities and distortions is special and unique, eh? They could have explained it much easier if they just... Oh no. Bonk. Heathcliff seemed to have woken up from his coma, but... I'll be looking forward to that extra dessert. Hoo-hoo. His moment of lucidity barely lasted a moment. And that's all there is to this. Phew. This is pretty great, huh? It's refreshing, doing something like this once in a while. Uh-oh. Don Quixote had not lowered her hand since Ishmael ignored her the first time. Not even for a brief moment. Fine, ask away. Dost thou know the name of the LCD employee who has composed that report? Ishmael seemed a bit taken aback that Don Quixote actually managed to ask a rather sensible question, even though it was asked with that very same enthusiasm she has when talking about fixers, that is. Oh, sure. Give me a sec. Sender, LCD on-site investigation reasoning team leader, Moses. I knew it. I knew. God damn it, Moses. Well, we might as well keep that name in mind since we'll probably run into them sooner or later. I'm sorry for ignoring you, Don Quixote. Though Don Quixote was finally given the answer she so passionately craved, she did not appear happy or excited about it. Instead, she seemed to be absorbed in deep thought. Something wrong, Don Quixote? I recall hearing that name in the past, yet I cannot recall as to who that name may have belonged to. Okay, now that we're actually done... Darn, thought I'd be able to collect a bit more dessert. This was more time consuming than it was initially expected, Dante. Now... Alright, it's about time. Alright then, I hereby confirm today's close of business for the Sinners. This could have dragged on for much longer, but the Sinners were thankfully pretty cooperative, so we managed to finish our day early. I followed the Sinners to the back door of the bus, my heart a little lighter than it was at the start of the day. Huh? I feel like I'm forgetting something. His ass is knocked out cold. It took me about 30 minutes to realize that we left Heathcliff out cold on the bus floor. And with that, everyone, that is going to conclude this video. So I really hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, go ahead and let me know by hitting that like button. And if you're new to the channel and you want to become part of the pack, go and hit that sub button and notification bell to know when a new video goes up. Also, don't forget to leave me a comment down below because all comments are well appreciated. And with that, everyone, I'm DemoonicWolf, and I'll see you all in the next video that I make because I am out.